What really happens when directors ignore financial trouble and refuse to seek insolvency advice? The truth can be far worse than you actually can imagine. And today I'm going to go to explain exactly why ignoring insolvency could cost you everything. Now, if you're a UK director, you're facing debt, insolvency and cash flow problems, you probably feel trapped. You may hope that ignoring the issue or delaying action will help you avoid trouble, but failing to seek help when you're struggling financially can trigger severe consequences, aggressive legal actions, personal liability, and even financial ruin. Now, in this guide, I'm going to clearly show you exactly what happens behind the liquidation curve when businesses fail to seek professional advice early. Now, you're going to discover exactly how ignoring insolvency can escalate into severe consequences. I'm going to talk about what specific steps creditors and authorities take against businesses that fail to act. And I'm going to talk to you about what aggressive enforcement measures really mean for you, a director, personally. I'm also going to go through what actions you can take immediately today to protect your finances and your future. If your business is struggling, watching this video to the end is critical because your next actions will decide your financial future. It's Chris Worden, Director First. Welcome to the video. Now, the first sign that you're behind the liquidation curve is escalating creditor pressure. You know, you're getting letters, you're ignoring the letters, you're not opening or responding to the emails, and you're getting phone calls daily demanding payment. Now, if you ignore these creditors, it's going to escalate matters, and they're going to start to look at things like CCJs, bailiffs, stat demands, and ultimately winding up petitions. I mean, I know how you feel because I was there. Listen, a few years ago, I had to put a business through an insolvency, and I knew we didn't have enough money to pay everyone at the end of the month, and I ended up paying those who screamed loudest. And if I knew I couldn't pay somebody, I just wouldn't answer the phone to them. I would ignore HMRC. I've told you about the story where an HMRC agent turned up at our offices, and my solution to that was, I'm going to put a lock on the door so they can't come in. I was frightened to death to speak to HMRC, and we got CCJs. And that was because we never communicated with the creditor. If you don't communicate with the creditor, the first thing they're going to do is look to get a CCJ against the business. Then it could be a stat demand. And the stat demand is basically saying, do you owe the money? Don't you owe the money? Do you owe some of the money? And if you've got a stat demand, it's highly likely the next step is going to be a winding up petition. And I'll explain that in a second. There's something also that HMRC is starting to do a lot more, and it's called a control of goods. Whereas if you don't pay HMRC over a period of time, your arrears are escalated, you've done time to pays and you failed them, eventually HMRC are going to come out to your business with a clipboard, and they're going to go round and they're going to look at all the business assets, the laptops, the desktops, the plant, the machinery, the vehicles. They're going to go around all the stock, they're going to write it down, and when you've signed it, you no longer own those assets unless you pay HMRC in full. And you'll get a little bit of a period of time, but if you don't call up and pay them in full, they're going to come, they're going to take all the assets out of the business. And that's going to sign the business's death warrant. Now, if you ignore all of these, a creditor can issue a winding up petition, okay? And that's where they file at court, basically saying this business can't pay its debts when they forward you. And the court will send the winding up petition to you. You will get served it. It will land on your desk. And at that point, nobody really knows about it, although you will be getting calls from call centres because some people can buy that data, and most people find out about a winding up petition nowadays, not because it's been landed on the doorstep, it's because they're getting bombarded with sales calls of companies that can help. By the way, if you've had a call like that today, or you're getting a winding up petition or a stat demand, stop what you're doing, go to the top of the description box and click my assessment. One of my team will call you today with some free and independent advice, okay? Now, if you don't deal with a winding up petition, okay, you get your day in court. Before that gets advertised, your bank account gets frozen, If you've got no bank account, you're not going to trade. If you don't pay it all off, by the time you get to court, you are forcibly wound up, okay? The business is no more. And during a compulsory liquidation, you have something called the official receiver who takes control. And the first thing the official receiver is going to say to you is, you are not fit to be a director because you could have done this voluntarily. Remember, people don't wind you up like that. It's after they've exhausted every other angle and they've got no other option, then they'll issue a winding up petition. So what needs to happen at that stage, right? If you're being threatened with a winding up petition, you need to take advice quickly, okay? The official receiver is a public body. They can be round your neck for a long time. If you can, you must always do an insolvency voluntarily, okay? Now, if you ignore insolvency warning signs, okay? If these issues are arising and you ignore them, you can also face serious personal financial consequences, okay? Now, some directors can be issued with personal liability notices, and that's where they have known they were insolvent, but they've continued to trade for a long period of time afterwards, and they've built up more debts. One of the most famous ones were the directors of British Home Store. They was insolvent clearly, and they absolutely ripped the arse out of it. And they were given personal liability notices for tens of millions. And it was the amount of debt that they'd accrued from the point of insolvency. They took insolvency advice to when it actually ended up in insolvency. Okay, so be careful. Personal liability notices are being used. Okay, another issue with personal liability is personal guarantees. Okay, if you have signed a personal guarantee and your business ends up in insolvency, you are going to be asked to pay that personal guarantee back. And the key thing with this is take advice early. Again, we can introduce you to people who will help you with personal guarantees. And in almost all cases, you can either agree a new payment plan over a longer period of time, or some lenders will accept full and final, okay? Full and final settlements. Now, beyond finances, failing to seek insolvency advice at the right time can actually damage your reputation personally. If you get wound up, that's not a good thing to have on your mark. You know, there's more chance that you're going to be disqualified. Being disqualified, that's not good PR for anybody, okay? If you are purposefully ignoring creditors and incurring more debts to them, a lot of these people you're going to have to walk past in the street. And again, ignoring them, burying your head in the sand, it doesn't bode well, okay? But the longer you delay seeking advice, the narrower the options become. Aggressive enforcement action always gets worse, and it generally gets worse rapidly, okay? Now, there are new recovery measures that are going to be brought in, certainly around these bounce back loan issues. They're talking about driving bans, extended recovery periods up to 12 years, direct seizure of personal assets through personal accounts. So the stakes have never been higher. Acting promptly is the real protection, okay? Now, for you to sort of protect yourself and your finances, I want you to follow these exact steps. First of all, you've got to recognise your situation clearly. How do you do that? Right, today, pull off an age creditors list. Who do you owe money to? And if you haven't got an age creditors list, ring up all your creditors and ask for statements and get it all on a spreadsheet. What's coming in? What's the cash flow projections? Who's your debtors? When are they paying? Is anybody late in paying? Can you get over the phone? And you can basically assess all your outstanding liabilities and incomes honestly, right? Now, if you've got more going out than you've got coming in, that's a sign you're insolvent. If all you've got coming in doesn't weigh all you've got going out, that's another sign you're insolvent. You've got to seek insolvency advice at that stage. Contact somebody. I mean, contact us today. We probably get 500 inquiries a month, and we probably do 40 to 50 jobs a month. So 90% of our inquiries are just good advisory, and they don't need insolvency. you've got to keep communicating with creditors, right? Because as long as you're talking to them, it lessens the chance that they're going to take enforcement action against you with a winding up petition. Because most of your creditors will know if they do wind you up and it's a compulsory liquidation, they've almost kissed goodbye to any hope of recovery. Try and set up affordable repayment plans. So work with them. It's like HMRC. You can do a time to pay arrangement. But please try and push the time to pay arrangement term over a longer period. I've had one this week. He agreed to a 50 grand a month time to pay arrangement for 12 months. I'm like, well, why didn't you ask it for over 3 years? Because he had a really good compliance history. He didn't know what he didn't know. But try and get a time to pay arrangement over a long period of time. I'd always start with him at 3 years, okay? Now, a time to pay means you're going to pay it all back over that extended period of time. You've got to make sure your accounts and returns are up to date before they'll agree to time to pay. And while you're in a time to pay, you've got to make sure you make that payment every month. And in addition to that, you've got to make sure that all your ongoing HMRC bills are paid in time, okay? Now, if that is not a possibility, and actually insolvency is, you know, you've got no hope in sight, you're not going to recover from this. You've got to do it voluntarily. And that could be like a voluntary liquidation, or it could be an administration. Because what this does is it demonstrates that you're responsible, okay? So the minute you go to an insolvency practitioner and say, listen, I can't afford to pay my debts when they're due, my liabilities are more than my assets, what are my options? They can then go, right, well, you've given us plenty of time, these are the various options. If the business is worth saving, we could perhaps drop it into admin and do a pre-pack where we sell the business or the parts of the business that are valuable back to the directors. It could be the end of the line, it's a liquidation and we just want to shut up shop, but doing it voluntarily will protect you in the long run. And even in a voluntary liquidation, you can still buy your assets back. You'll need to get them independently valued. You'll have to pay a fair market value. Sometimes a CVA is a good option, and that is a formal restructure where you pay what you can to your creditors, your unsecured creditors, over a period of 5 years. You've got to get 75% of your creditors to agree that. But as you can see, there's lots of options, but the longer that you leave it, the narrower that gate becomes. So, like I say a lot, you've got two choices. You can do the ostrich, stick your head in the ground, and things will get worse. Or you can act today. You can seek insolvency advice. You can go down to the link at the top of the description and book a call with one of my team. We have hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you choose to act now, we are here to guide you and support you every step of the way. Subscribe to the channel for clear, ongoing insolvency advice. Comment your questions below and I'll personally respond. But more importantly, if you're worried, stressed or uncertain about your company's future, I want you to go and watch the next video there.